We are officially live, and guys, it is fight week. Let's go, UFC 300. We're finally back, guys. It's been a while since we've had a card that we could be excited for. Until now, ladies and gentlemen, UFC 300 full card from top to bottom is, to me, an amazing card, and we're gonna go through it all, guys. We're gonna go from the early prelims all the way to the main event and talk about hopefully each fight. If not now, as far as covering the whole thing, then I have a video coming out soon which will give you all my picks, and then we have a podcast at 7 p.m. where we'll be talking to with our co-host Trey Melton, and we're going to be able to have a back and forth with him as well. And a disclaimer, guys, this is a disclaimer that I must give early today, guys. I do, or I have, how do I say this without being ashamed, without being embarrassed? There is one fight in particular that I have switched my pick, and I'll share that with you a little bit later. Maybe we can go through the early prelims, and then I'll give you the shocker. And let me specifically say that there's one person out there that has been how do we say this? They've been adamant that this one fighter is going to win, and I disagree with them, and I've had some back and forth with them. And all that to say, now I agree with them, and when they hear that, I know they're going to have a field day perhaps. And that's okay. That's understandable. 267-545-8096 if you want to call in, and if you want to leave a voicemail with your predictions, I'll play that live on stream, and we can have a good and a fun back and forth. Saludos, Jesus. Welcome to the stream, my guy. Hope all is well, man. And let's have some fun. Let's have some fun tonight as far as our picks. Let me quickly open let's just open the card and have a little bit of a discussion about all of this, man, because it's gonna be how do I say? It's gonna be interesting to see how we talk about this. Saludos, says Jesus. Mr. Pancake is back. We do have a couple voicemails. Why not get into them quickly right now, and then we'll give our predictions for the rest of the card. Let's go through them a little bit. Here we go.
What's up, Murder This is the People's Champ, encyclopedia / historian himself, Chris Faith.
What a beautiful introduction. The historian, the encyclopedia, the People's Champ. Here we go.
Let's talk about the predictions. Actually, let's talk about the early prelim predictions. I know Figueroa versus Garbrandt. I know those two. I'm not a fan of those two, but I'm going for Figueroa for the win.
And what an opportunity for Cody Garbrandt as well, too, right? He hasn't been knocked out since 2021. There was a stretch where he was just getting slept, it almost felt like, by everyone. But he has a big fight against Figueiredo here at 135. I think this is an interesting one, and I'm not counting Cody out, but let's see what else the People's Champ had to say.
Let me say, I'm going for, let's see, I know there's another fight, Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. I'm going for Jim Miller, probably TKO. I don't know which round.
Can you believe that Bobby Green is a favorite by a significant margin? Let me see if on the UFC website, actually, they have the odds, which is pretty cool, that I didn't notice before. But let me see if I could learn more. Where's I had it open earlier. One second. Purchase tickets. Damn, I just had it open right here. UFC 300 fight card. They have Bobby Green as a favorite. He's a minus 205 right here for Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. This is my first underdog pick. I'm picking Jim Miller to win, so I'm in agreement with you, Chris Faith.
And let me get back to you. I gotta handle something. Sorry about that. Where was I? Back to my predictions. So Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. I'm not a big fan of Jessica Andrade. I know who she is, but
same. I don't think most people are, or most people aren't big fans.
Jessica Andrade wins probably first, second round TKO. I wouldn't be surprised if Marina knocks her out first. Jalen Turner versus Renato Moicano. fuck Renan Smolkala. I'm sorry, but that's that guy. The guy who ducked Armin Zarukian last year. I'm going for Jalen Turner, murderous TKO first round.
Murders. I wonder if you're saying murderous TKO because of the knockout that he had against Bobby Green, where the ref probably should have stopped that. Man, I guess Bobby Green took about 17 or 20 extra punches that he didn't need to because the ref didn't get in the way. But it was a vicious knockout. One of the worst ones I've seen as of recent. Still worse is Bryce Mitchell being knocked out by Josh Emmett. But Jalen Turner versus Bobby Green, as far as the punishment that Bobby Green took after that, that's right up there. If you guys can think of a worse knockout, you guys let me know. But listen, Jalen Turner is lanky for the division for 155. He's big. And Moicano didn't look the best in his last fight. Granted, he got the win, but I'm not too high on him.
To the preliminary cards. Saeed Youssef versus Diego Lopez. I got Diego Lopez probably, not unanimous decision, by ultimate TKO the first round. Holly Holm versus Kayla Harrison.
I love that he's going through every pick, and so far we're in agreement.
To me, Kayla Harrison wins first round TKO. Holly Holmes retires for good. Sterling versus.
That's the one we perhaps disagree with.
Calvacator. No, I got Calvacator probably unanimous decision.
Wow.
TKO.
You don't got Aljamain Sterling winning his debut at 145. Interesting.
Versus Alexander Rakic. I got Jiri. Third round TKO. Now, let me go to the next one.
We got one more voicemail. Here we go. He's going through each and every fight.
Predictions for the main event. Actually, the main card for the main event. That's for UFC 200. Let me go right now. Bo Nickel, I think he wins. Well, I'm not a big Bo Nickel fan, but I see him winning. Most likely TKO versus second round against Cody Brundage or Brundage, whatever his last name is. Oliveira versus Arman Zarukian. I know a lot of people are doubting Arman Zarukian. I'm not changing side because I'm rooting for Arman.
I was surprised on that one, Hollywood, that he has Aljamain Sterling losing, especially Kattar coming off the leg injury, coming off 2 losses, I believe, back to back. That was an interesting one, but hey, man, that's who he's going with, which makes it quite interesting. But let me see the last. Yeah, he's coming off back to back losses. One was a split decision against Josh Emmett, but the other one with against Arnold Allen, who is a formidable threat in that division as well.
Zarukian, and I'm not doubting him. Like so many Oliveira fans / former fans of Beneil Dariush are rooting for Charles Oliveira to knock out Arman Zarukian. Well, let me be honest with you. Arman Zarukian has not been knocked out since the year 2015. Islam did beat him in his UFC debut, but that didn't mean he knocked him out. Arman Zarukian wins first round TKO.
Wow, you got him knocking out Charles Oliveira. Yikes. Listen, Oliveira has been finished quite some, a few times, but to say that Arman is going to do that, I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but to me, this reminds me very much so. This reminds me of Dustin Poirier versus Benoit. I'm not saying that Poirier, or I'm not saying that Arman Tsarukyan is Benoit, and you also got to put into as a factor that, Arman doesn't have a staph infection. Again, I still think that Poirier would have won that fight. I think this is the more experienced guy, the veteran, versus the up-and-comer that's dangerous. This might be one of the fights that I changed my mind on. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We'll get back to that.
Gaethje versus Max Holloway, I believe. Well, I'm not doubting Gaethje, but he wins by unanimous decision. Zhang Weili versus Yang Jianang. I think Zhang wins. Zhang Weili versus unanimous. I'm not doubting Gaethje, but he wins by unanimous decision. Zhang Weili versus Yang Jianang. I think Zhang wins by unanimous decision. Alex Pereira versus.
Who wins by unanimous?
Jianang. For the main event, actually the main is Yang Jianang. I think Zhang wins by unanimous decision. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill.
Is the hot one.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm going for Alex Pereira, second or third round TKO.
Man, me and Chris started off agreeing in a lot of the fights. Thank you for the call in 267-545-8096. Chris Faith with his predictions. If you want to call in 267-545-8096, leave a voicemail and I'll play that live on stream. let's just talk about the elephant in the room. There's one fight because I do have a video coming out where I'm talking about each and every single fight. As far as my predictions and who I have winning, that's going to be coming out, I believe, at 3:15 or 3:30. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. If there's one fight that you guys believe that I were to change, what fight will you guys think that fight might be? That I picked one fight at first and then I changed my mind. Let me know your guys guess. I'm gonna give you like 10, 15 seconds. And then I'm gonna share with you guys. It's not. I'll give you a clue. It's not. It's not the main event. It's not Jamal Hill and Pereira. I'm still sticking with that. With that fight. We do have Hito calling in, and I don't know if he wanted to leave a voicemail.
Call from
Or if you want to
Hollywood.
Let's see. Yo, did you want to have a conversation or leave a voicemail?
I was gonna leave a voicemail, but it's gonna be short and sweet.
All right, let's have it.
I know what your new nickname is.
What's the new nickname? We have Hito calling in.
IHOP.
The International House of Pancakes. Listen, that's one of my favorite breakfast spots. Wow, and Cracker Barrel. That's underrated. That's a conversation for another day. Why so, man? Why so?
That's why I left the voicemail. I know you're gonna get into it. I don't want to ruin the surprise for no one. So how about you get into your points and then they'll figure out why you're called IHOP.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna put on Do Not Disturb in case you do want to leave a voicemail about anything else. But I'm gonna talk about it right now. If you could get a hold of Joe, I feel like I need to have a conversation with Joe about this one, as far as because you know how he felt about the one fight. So
No,
yeah.
we should tape for tonight. I think it'll be good views for tonight.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna talk about my okay, I'll talk about it right now for sure.
See you.
All right, guys. Yeah, later. All right, guys. Without further ado, I don't mean to make too much of this. There's one fight that I switched, guys, and that we've talked about before. What's up, Teron Brown? Welcome to the stream. How you doing today, man? There's one fight that I listen, I did a little bit more thinking, a little bit more pondering, and I feel pretty strongly about this. Now, I saw both of their last fights, and ironically enough, maybe this gives it away. Ironically, both of their last fights were against the same opponent. Maybe, come on, guys. You guys have to know what I'm talking about. Am I certain for sure that was his last fight? Yes. Both of these guys fought the same opponent and almost won in the same fashion. There's a guy by the name of Beneil Dariush. There was a point in my YouTube career where I thought maybe a tiny bit ashamed to talk about this, that I thought this guy was the next one up. That out of all the fighters in the UFC, I thought it would be this man right here to how do I say this? To give Islam Makhachev the biggest threat. I'll be honest. Was I off? Was I wrong about that one? Again, doesn't happen often. This is surprising to all of you guys, but yes, I was completely wrong. Who are the two guys that he has lost to as of recent? Well, Beneil Dariush lost in the same round, almost in the same fashion, to Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan. And ironically enough, those two fighters are fighting each other. That is, let me see if we can have a cooler picture. Yes, right here. Let me see if I can have it up on the screen. Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan. This is a very interesting one, guys. Let me see if I can scroll down a little bit. Oliveira being 34-9, Arman Tsarukyan being 21-3, both of them coming off impressive knockout wins against Beneil Dariush, one from Georgia, the other one from Brazil. Now the height advantage goes to Oliveira. He is 3 inches taller, and Oliveira has a 1.5 inch reach advantage, 1.5 inch leg reach advantage. The odds are where Oliveira is a plus 170 and Arman, the Armenian, is a minus 205. Arman Arman Saryukian, I thought he was going to be arguably the boogeyman of this lightweight division. I thought he was going to be the one to step ahead of Beneil Dariush after beating Beneil Dariush. And I was almost to the point of saying this is the biggest threat for Islam Makhachev. He has been on a tear. He does have a win against Ismagulov. It almost seemed like he had a tough time against Silva Joaquim, but he got the job done, and then he knocks out Beneil Dariush in impressive fashion. But that was after Oliveira knocked out Beneil Dariush in the first round. And Beneil Dariush had some moments where he landed, some jabs down the middle, a left straight down the middle, even took Oliveira down and had some moments where he was, successful with some ground and pound. Oliveira never really looked hurt in the fight, but, he was on the bottom, had to work his way back up, and then he finds a knockout. He landed a big head kick and then went for the kill. But again, I rewatched those two fights, Oliveira versus Dariush, Saryukian versus Dariush, and there was just something that was just that was blaring, that was too obvious for me to ignore. That I don't know if you guys feel the same way, if you guys rewatch the fights. I'm looking at these two fights and I'm thinking Oliveira looks massive next to Dariush. Then I saw Dariush versus Saryukian. Granted, Saryukian got the knockout. He landed a right knee to right hook combination. Beautiful combination. I was impressed. But then I'm like, Arman looks small next to Dariush, where Oliveira looked massive. And I know height and reach and weight doesn't win you a fight, right? I know that that's not the case, right? But I saw Arman landing a jab against Dariush and some shots against Beneil that I'm thinking to myself, these are pity-patty type shots that when Oliveira was landing, that long jab that he has, to me, is something that I think Arman is going to struggle with. I'm at the point where I'm looking at Oliveira and I'm thinking, you know what? I don't mean to sound blasphemous. I don't mean to sound too crazy. But the same way that Oliveira walked through Beneil, I can see him being the one walking forward and applying pressure to Arman Saryukian. And that is, guys, the admission of guilt. That is the if I'm going to pull an IHOP where, I'm going to be a pancake and flip-flop and change one of my picks, that's the one. I don't know. Listen, anytime I've doubted Oliveira before, it didn't go well for me. Now, I picked Oliveira when it was against Gaethje. I said to myself, listen, I'm not picking against Oliveira anymore. And I picked Oliveira to beat Gaethje, and he did. Oliveira beating Poirier. Even against Michael Chandler, it looked like, like Oliveira was in a world of trouble and he was going to lose. And then he gets the job done in the second round. I'm not picking against Oliveira anymore, man. I'm not picking against Oliveira. Again, I was maybe caught up in the recency bias where Arman knocked out Dariush in impressive fashion and he looks like the boogeyman. But again, I had to go back in the lab. I had to go back in the, I guess the lab is the best way you could call it. In the study room. I had to go back to, the work desk, and I was looking at both fights and their most recent fights, and I thought to myself, Oliveira looks massive. I don't mean to belabor the point, but he looks, Oliveira on a good night. I know, listen, a lot of this could be clipped where I have switched up. I understand. Oliveira on a good night. Hear me out. Oliveira on a good night. Joe Collin, I would love to hear your thoughts. Just let me know when you're in Discord, because I do want to have a conversation before tonight where he can call in again. Back to my point. Hear me out. Oliveira reminds me of Jalen Turner a little bit. Or Jalen. All right. Jalen Turner on a good night, I think he could almost beat anyone. I think that point is even further or even more so for Oliveira. Oliveira on a good night could beat anyone in the lightweight division. That's basically what I'm trying. Oliveira on a good night could beat anyone in the featherweight division. He just needs to be in there ready to go. But I know he got dominated by Islam Makhachev, and I know he got head and arm choked, and he didn't look like himself listen, there was issues that he had on the scale, and things were a little bit weird. He was fighting in Abu Dhabi. I'm gonna chalk that up to it just wasn't his night. But and I know I'm asking a lot of you guys, but if you were to take out that one blemish as a recent on Oliveira's record, if you take out the blemish of him losing to Islam Makhachev, granted he got dominated, the man has been on a tear. Tony Ferguson, Michael Chandler, Dustin Poirier, Gaethje, Dariush. Again, Ferguson, Chandler, Poirier, Gaethje, Dariush. If you take that one blemish away, the Islam Makhachev, the man has been on a tear and has almost been unbeatable and has almost been unbeatable. So I cannot hold that over his head. I cannot weigh that against him too much. If you take out the Islam Makhachev fight, Oliveira is still, to this day, one of the most dangerous fighters in the UFC. And you saw what he did to Dariush, how he walked through him when most picked Dariush to beat Oliveira. I think Oliveira is trying to regain his title. And I do believe him where he wants that Makhachev fight back. And he wants to prove to the world that that wasn't him. And that's why I'm picking him to beat Arman Tsarukyan. I know Arman looks scary. Benoit looks scary against Poirier. What did I say? I said Poirier was too experienced. Levels are going to show. There's levels to this game, and levels are going to show that Poirier is just better than Benoit. I'm not saying Arman isn't scary. Arman is scary as well, too. He's an up-and-comer, and he's climbing up the ranks quite quickly, and he beat Dariush, and he looked impressive. But what other names does Tsarukyan have on his resume that you say, you know what? This guy's the next one up. He lost to Gamrot. It was a unanimous decision, but it was close, and some felt that Arman won. But nonetheless, Joel Alvarez, Christos Giagos, Ismagulov, good fighters. Joaquim Silva, Beneil Dariush, good fighters. None of these guys are Charles Oliveira. And I know Arman looks scary. I know Arman is the favorite in this fight. Arman is a, let me quickly go back. I think Arman is a, one more time, let me go back. Arman is a, oh, the odds right here. Arman is a minus 205. I'm slamming the Oliveira underdog pick. I think Jim Miller is a good underdog pick against Bobby Green. And my other underdog pick is Oliveira versus Arman. I'm pretty much convinced. Again, Oliveira could get dogged. Don't get me wrong. Oliveira could get dogged. But I also think Arman could get dogged. I also think Oliveira could very well walk forward and put and apply pressure against Arman like no one has before. Oliveira has been doubted one too many times, me being one of them at one point, but I came to a realization that, you know what? It wasn't a fluke that Oliveira was on the tear, was on the run that he was in, and he's going to prove it against Arman. Oliveira beating Arman is going to be similar to Poirier beating Benoit, as far as you have an up-and-comer, you have a dangerous opponent, and you think, look, this guy's over the hill, this guy hasn't looked great, he was beaten by Makhachev just like Poirier was beaten by Gaethje, and you start thinking to yourself, maybe they're chinny, maybe they're not the same fighter, and then they have to prove themselves. And Poirier did it against Benoit. I think is going to be very similar. Oliveira is going to do that against Arman. I truly do feel that way. Joe is in the he's muted, but let me answer. It's Fight Week, man. Can't wait till Saturday. I can't wait either. I'm picking Charles by TKO. I'm picking Charles as well too. Let me actually make a poll real quick in the chat while we wait for who wins at UFC 300. Let's see what the people say. Arman Tsarukyan or Charles Oliveira. I might dye the hair blonde for this one. We might have to make it happen. Joe, if you hear me, I don't hear you.
I was just letting you talk.
Oh, okay, cool. Yo. You were breaking up a bit.
Yeah, hold on. I'm voting in your poll.
Oh my god.
I just voted in your poll. Okay, it is 100% for Charles Oliveira right now.
Is it? Wow. That's quite interesting.
Yeah, because there's only one vote.
Oh, okay, gotcha. There's 3 that I see right there right now. It's a
There's only
50-50
one
actually
vote.
right now.
Okay.
Joe, talk to me, man. I had to get that off my chest. How do you feel about everything I said?
Okay, Miller. So, first of all, how was your weekend, brother?
My weekend was great. I was able to watch some fights, sit back, celebrate the son's birthday, and yeah. Then this morning I woke
Wow.
up and I saw some fights, and I saw Oliveira against Dariush. I saw Armin. It's been a good weekend.
I'm glad to hear. I can tell you actually had a better weekend this weekend because I can tell that you're not drunk finally. You're not hungover. You're actually saying the absolute truth. And the truth is, and I'm glad you see it now, that
I see it.
Charles is going to show that he's too much for Armin right now in his career right now. I think Armin is he's growing. He's gonna be a really good fighter for years to come. I just think that right now Charles is better than him right now. He's got more tools in his tool belt than Armin does. So I'm glad you finally came around. So
I could just see, as crazy as this sounds, I can see Oliveira being the hammer and Armin being the nail. I like. I looked at again. I would encourage you to watch both of their fights against Dariush, and Armin looked a little bit small. I know he knocked Benil to another universe. I understand that. But as far as when they were standing toe to toe, and in the beginning, I'm like, man, Oliveira looks like a bully next to Benil, and Armin looked a little bit small. Yeah, stocky. He was still strong. He still landed a big shot. But I could just imagine Oliveira and Armin being in there, and me thinking to myself, man, Oliveira looks massive. And I could see him sticking that jab out there, and Armin trying to close the distance and having a tough time doing so.
yeah, I agree with you. The way I looked at it was, this is what I did this morning too. I watched Michael Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. I watched Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje, and I I remembered the fights between Charles Oliveira and them three, and I was like, yo, Armin doesn't even have the same striking as Michael Chandler, not even close as Michael Chandler. And you think that Charles is going to get knocked out by Armin when he didn't get knocked out by Gaethje, Poirier, and Michael Chandler?
Or by Chandler,
I
who
just
that onslaught on the first round where he weathered that.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I don't see Charles. I don't see Armin winning this fight in a TKO. If anything, maybe he might be able to hold him down for 3 rounds if he does win. But I'm just not seeing him win. But anyway, that's something
So
that I noticed.
so what happened against Islam Makhachev? Because I don't know if you heard my whole spiel before this, but I basically said I chalked that up to he just had a bad night.
I think he was in. I agree, totally agree with you. I'm gonna go further. I'm gonna say he was injured. There were rumblings that he was not fully healthy for that fight.
He had issues on the scale, if you remember that as well too,
Correct.
and where he was a little bit flustered. He was in Abu Dhabi. I mean, there was a lot going on.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that it just wasn't his night. But I like what you said. Charles Oliveira can be anyone at any given night. But let me. I want to switch topics because I want to talk more about that tonight with Trey. I
Okay.
want to talk about I want to talk about Max Holloway and Gaethje because this fight is starting to interest me a little more. I
Mm.
was watching more fights, watching more interviews, and this fight is starting to interest me a little bit more. And the reason why it's interesting me is because Chael Sonnen. Did you watch Chael Sonnen's analysis on that fight?
On Holloway
Uh,
versus Gaethje, no.
Yes, Holloway versus Gaethje. He
Mm-mm.
was basically saying that every fighter he talked to picked Max Holloway to win that fight. And I was like, I don't know what he's talking about because I went on YouTube and I seen uh whole videos on fighters picking Max Holloway. I'm sorry, picking Justin Gaethje over Max Holloway.
Yeah,
So I don't know what he was talking about.
there's a video like MMA pros pick that this guy James Lynch does. He does a great job at them where he compiles a bunch of fighters and who's gonna win between Gaethje and Holloway. And I saw most fighters saying Gaethje, so I don't know what Chael Sonnen is talking about.
Yeah, he's on crack. But anyway, my point is this: that Max Holloway, he claims that people are overlooking him, and this was I'd say this was something that made me rethink it. Now, obviously, I still have Gaethje by TKO or unanimous, not even close, right? But
Mhm.
this is something that made me rethink it. He said that Dustin Poirier fight on short notice. He didn't even train for that fight.
6 weeks.
So, if I'm not mistaken, right? Did they have a full training camp?
Yo, you're breaking
Hello?
up, Joe. Yep, you're breaking up a bit. Yep.
Did you hear what I said? That he didn't have a
No.
full training camp, correct?
Yeah, he only has 6 weeks. He said it on his own YouTube channel. Speaking of Holloway, he was like, "Listen, not to make excuses, but and I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he said he only has 6 weeks against Poirier. He's had more than 10 weeks against Gaethje, and he feels better than ever and more prepared than ever."
Yeah, so that's what's making me rethink that is I shouldn't say rethink it.
What do you mean by rethinking? Like, are you considering picking Holloway, or are you just thinking that it's going to
No,
be a?
I'm not
'cause you
considering
called it a
picking
murder.
Holloway.
I remember you calling it a murder.
Yeah, it is
before.
gonna be a murder. Yeah, I'm not gonna switch off from that. I'm not gonna back off from my pick because I did my homework for both of them fights, and I don't have to switch because I did my homework. So
Mhm.
what you did, you said you went in the lab. Miller,
Mhm.
I was already in the lab. That's why I was so confident in my pick. Okay, and so
Mhm.
I'm not gonna pick him off, but I just thought it was interesting that Max Holloway didn't have a full training camp for Dustin Poirier. But no,
Mhm.
the reason why I watched the fight with that Michael Chandler Justin Gaethje fight was to just remember how nice Gaethje is on the feet and how he can
Yeah.
take a punch. And Michael Chandler's a better striker at 155, I think, than Max Holloway. More
Uh,
explosive, more power, he's quicker.
the problem is that it's not so much that he's a better striker. I think it's more that if he does land, is way more significant than Max Holloway landing. I just can't see Max Holloway hurting Gaethje.
Yeah, I don't see him hurting Gaethje either at all. But you did say, were you rethinking it or what? Who's your pick for that fight?
I got Gaethje. I wanted to lean towards I wanted to consider a world where Max Holloway wins that fight, and I was thinking about it because I'm thinking, what if it goes to a fourth round, fifth round, and Holloway's still fresh and Gaethje's tired? Gaethje has been hurt quite a few times. At the end of the day, Holloway has never been knocked out. With all that being said, I'm like, what can Holloway do to pull it off? But I can't convince myself that he could finish Gaethje. And if he doesn't, I just think Gaethje's gonna kind of do the same thing that Poirier did to him, even though Holloway has more time to prepare. And that's just when he lands is gonna be way more significant. Holloway has pillow hands.
Wow, pillow hands. I don't know about that.
I mean,
That's kind of disrespectful, Miller.
you don't think so?
I mean, pillow hands?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
you think so?
That's Max Holloway. He's one of the best UFC fighters ever.
No, he's one of the best of all time. He arguably has one of the best, probably the best chin in the UFC right now. But I mean, and I know he knocked out Chan Sung Young. That like spinning back elbow was crazy. But besides that, when was his last knockout win? Hold on a second. Let's see real quick. Besides Chan Sung Young, who was over the hill, right?
Yeah, look at that.
Uh,
Look at
uh,
that. Look at that.
His last knockout win, bro. This guy's last knockout win, if you even want to call it a knockout win, was a doctor stoppage that against Brian Ortega in round 4.
That's Brian Ortega in round 4.
Yep, and that was
Oh yeah, that's the first time they fought, right?
yeah, that was 2018, bro. That's a long time ago.
Wait, they haven't had a rematch, have they?
Mm-mm.
Yes, they only fought one time. I remember that fight too. That was a good fight.
This was at featherweight. This was at 145. He beat Jose Aldo by ground and pound in round number 3. This was again featherweight. So a guy that hasn't had a knockout win since 2018, and that's a doctor stoppage. So Brian Ortega probably could have even kept going. Doctor stoppage in 2018 to go up to 155, and I expect him to beat Gaethje, who has looked better than he has in forever. Like Gaethje, again, if this was Gaethje from 2016, 2017, that's different. Gaethje as a recent has looked incredible.
Yeah, I agree with you. But let me get my phone charger right quick. Let me ask you something. And you can talk while I get my phone charger. Do you think that Gaethje should be next for the title shot if he wins?
Sheesh, man, that's a
I'm talking
tough.
about. I'm talking about after. Let's just say whoever wins. Okay, Armin or Charles, right? So you have the
Mhm.
winner of that fight, right? And then you have the winner of Max Holloway, Gaethje. Gaethje's been on the tear, right? So people, and I actually agree that it's either the winner of Armin, Charles, or Gaethje as far as the fight after June. So we know Islam's going to fight somebody in June. Whether they're going to make that fight in June between the winner of Armin or or if Gaethje wins, I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's going to fight Dustin. Dustin already said on Twitter.
That's what
I
I was
think that
gonna
they're going to
say.
fight. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I mean, I'm not talking about that fight. I'm talking about after Islam fights in June or July. Then
Okay.
after that fight, who do you think deserves it?
Oof, that's tough. All right, we're assuming Gaethje wins, right? And then with Oliveira and Armin, we got to kind of
Correct.
pick like if Oliveira wins, does he get it? If Armin, does he get it? I can see, I can see if Oliveira wins, um, if Oliveira wins and Gaethje win this Saturday, I can see Oliveira being ahead of Gaethje. Now, if Armin wins, I could see them giving it to Gaethje just because Gaethje's a bigger star, and that fight is just more appealing to like the casual fan. So I guess it depends, right? I guess it depends. Do they give it to Oliveira or Gaethje first? Do you think it matters how they win as well too? Like, what if Gaethje's a razor thin close decision, but Oliveira just puts out Armin, for example, which it's kind of like the argument that I'm kind of making almost in a sense. Is it safe to say it might depend on who has a better performance at UFC 300?
My opinion is that I think Charles should get it if he wins.
And why not
So I
Gaethje?
think
Why not Gaethje ahead of Charles?
because Charles never got his rematch they were scheduled. And I was
Right.
watching remember Big John McCarthy?
Mhm.
He's got a podcast. I was listening to his podcast.
The Wayne In
And
podcast.
his co-host said that Islam was injured. And that's why he didn't fight Charles Oliveira after Charles pulled out in October. So Charles pulled out in October of their fight, right?
Mhm.
And then after that, they were supposed to. The UFC was trying to set up Islam and Charles for around this time, but Islam was injured. That's what he was saying. So because of that, I think that Charles should get the rematch if he wins. Even if Justin Gaethje looks good and everything, I think Charles should get the match, in my opinion.
He is a former champion. If he beats Armin, the only man that he's lost to as of recent is Makhachev, and he has a win over Gaethje. Speaking of Oliveira,
Exactly.
so and you look at Gaethje's resume again, he has looked spectacular, but that fight against Fiziev was pretty close. The Poirier win was a good win, but besides that, then before that he lost to Oliveira and then he beat Chandler. So I would prefer Oliveira gets it too if both of them win at UFC 300.
Yeah.
And I think Oliveira has a tougher fight. I think Oliveira has a tougher fight, and the more dangerous fight and risk to reward. Oliveira has a lot more that he's risking, I think, against Armin than Gaethje's fighting Holloway who's a natural 145 pounder, doesn't even fight at 155 and didn't look good the last time. So I think that risk alone, it's greater. So give him the shot if he wins.
I agree with you. 100%.
Well,
Okay, I just wanted to know if I was maybe not seeing something, but yeah, I agree.
I can't believe I've gotten to the point where I agree with you about Charles Oliveira, but I feel like reality hit me. Hito says Miller went from Charles is a bum. Okay, Charles is entertaining. Then to Oliveira got this. Listen, man,
Hito, I'm not saying anything. I'm saving my explosive rant for tonight. That's really why I'm like, I'm trying to contain myself. I'm trying to think of other topics.
Why save it? Why save it?
Because I want to talk about it with Trey. I want to know what Trey thinks, because Trey still thinks that Armin's going to win. I believe he hasn't changed his mind on that.
But what explosive? What explosive? Give
well,
us a little preview.
I'm not gonna give you a preview, but this is what the truth is. I'm right, and I've been right, and I do the homework, and I'm nice. Okay, I know what I'm talking. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I'll save it for tonight. Sorry,
you kind of cut out a little bit, anyways. All I heard was I know I'm right. I've been right. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I said I know what I'm talking about, but I'm not. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I'm just gonna calm down. I'm gonna save it for tonight
Okay.
because
Okay.
yeah, I'm just. You know,
Uh,
man, I want to talk about something. You said something.
mhm.
Well, we texted each other over the weekend, and you said I want to talk about that Chris Curtis fight. That was a good fight.
Right.
Speaking of fight nights, remember how y'all were trashing the fight nights last week?
A little bit. A little bit.
I thought this was a good fight night. What do you think?
No, it wasn't bad at all. I thought Chris Curtis put up a better fight, even though he beat him before. For some reason, I just thought that Brendan Allen was gonna just been more improved. But yeah, it was a fight to the finish.
Who do you think won that fight? You think that they gave the judges gave the correct decision?
Yeah, I had a razor edge close win for Brendan Allen as well too.
And you watched the whole fight.
Yeah, no, I watched the whole fight. I just thought Brendan did a little bit more to like steal certain rounds. The hamstring injury, as far as at the end, was a little crazy. As far as who knows what would have happened if he had like 30 more seconds, because Chris Curtis could barely stand there as well too. Brendan got touched up a lot though too, so it's tough. That's
what I'm saying. He got touched up too much, Miller.
Yeah, he got touched up a lot.
Yeah, he was getting pieced in it. I'm not saying he didn't land his own shots. It was a dogfight. That was a complete dogfight. But I just thought that, okay, he was getting touched up on the feet more. He was getting hurt more. And then with his takedowns, he wasn't really. Chris Curtis was never in trouble with anything. He would either power out of it or he was just not in trouble at all. So I mean, I don't know. I thought Chris Curtis. I would have gave the edge to Chris Curtis in that fight. Honestly, I thought he got unlucky. In my opinion,
it's hard to like go off first watch because there are moments where Chris Curtis was landing where I thought to myself, oh, he's landing way more significantly than Brendan Allen. Even you look at both of their faces at the end there. Brendan Allen looked a little bit beat up. So
yeah.
So it's tough to say. I don't know. I would have to rewatch it. I thought Brendan Allen struggled more than I imagined as well too, because I thought he was one of the next ones up, but I don't know after that performance.
But let me ask you something. This is my first time, I've been going viral on your channel with some of the posts that you've been posting of me, of my opinions. Some people agree with me, some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to ask you, how do you deal with idiots who
with the
who
comments?
don't really how do you deal with idiots who don't really know what they're talking about, and you're just like, they misconstrue what you say, or just like, how do you deal with that? I had a conversation with Trey over the weekend. I had a very difficult time not responding to some of these bums in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Let me calm down. Anyway, so I'm asking you, how do you handle that?
I think this is a very important conversation to have.
Yeah.
And it's because listen, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. For one, welcome to my world. Not that I'm the biggest streamer, but this has been I'm trying to give you a good example, but basically, you said one thing, you meant one thing, and people will literally say you said something else that you literally didn't say.
Exactly.
Or because it's a clip of a longer stream, they didn't hear your whole argument, so they think they just make assumptions, and it's tough. Even when you're right, it's quiet. When you're wrong, people are very loud, and you've been right about certain things, and people that it's all that to say. I think. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we're gonna be a big stream or a big channel one day, and when that does happen, I think at a certain point you don't reply to comments, or you just reply and you keep it moving. But I think that's part of the game. I don't know. I do well with reading something and going about my day. I do very well with reading something and going about my day. I don't know.
I do too, for the most part. Then it's just the stupid. Okay, let me just give you an example. Okay.
All right, yeah.
I said that Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje is gonna be like an old man fighting a murderer,
and everybody's telling you Gaethje's older, right?
And everyone's telling me, bro, Gaethje is older than Max. Like, what is this casual? That's another thing. This word casual. I'm starting to. And this is my opinion now. This is my opinion. If you use the word casual, You are the casual. This is what I'm learning
It's
now.
played out. It's played out.
It's played out. If you call someone a casual, you are outing yourself as the actual casual. Okay, that's number one. Okay, number two, when I said that Max Holloway fighting Gaethje is like an old man fighting a murderer,
Mhm.
I wasn't talking about their age. I was comparing the gap in a fight, like as if an old man were to fight a stone cold killer murderer. It was the same. It's the same analogy, the same comparison as Max Holloway fighting Justin Gaethje, as in Justin Gaethje is a murderer, and Justin Gaethje is gonna make Max look like he doesn't belong in there. He's gonna make him look like an old man. That I'm not saying that Max Holloway is older than Gaethje. So it's just people are just Miller. That's I just want to get that. I just want to get that off my chest. I'm sorry. Okay,
No,
I just
listen.
wanted to say that.
I get it. There have been
Miller,
comments.
there's a comment with 21 likes on your YouTube channel.
What does it say?
And it says, what is bro talking about? Max Holloway is younger than Gaethje or something like that.
Oh, those are the worst. Yes.
Max Miller, it has 22 likes on it. Okay.
Yeah.
I just,
It can
Anyway,
get under your skin a
sorry.
little bit. There's
sorry.
there have been comments that I've read where I would say something like, let's say a recap of a fight. I've literally read comments where people have said, bro didn't even watch the fight, even though we were live for the fight. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen comments like that. I've seen when I was picking Leon to beat Kamaru, I've seen people say this guy's nuts, he's crazy. I'm trying to think of, man, I need to start screenshotting. Let me think real quick. Other comments that when I picked Poirier to beat Benoit, people are like, bro,
Yeah.
this guy's stuck in 2014. You know, like, yo, comments like that. I mean, I've seen some crazy ones, bro. I promise you. So you're just
Yeah.
starting. It's only gonna get worse in that sense.
I'm just
But-
glad I'm not the only one. I just, anyway.
This
Sorry.
is what you do, Joe. I have a suggestion. This is what you do. If you're right about your take about Gaethje versus Max Holloway, you
Right.
go back to the comments and you just hit a bunch of them with the "I told you so." Now, if Holloway somehow wins, then you just don't say nothing and you go on. You make your next prediction on the next card. But oh man, I wish I could just go through all the man. There have been so many comments that. Yeah, you've been kind of getting flamed on YouTube as well too. But
Yeah.
there have been some people that agree with you.
No, yeah, 100%. I think that there has to be someone on your stream who is part of the Charles fan club, this Charles Oliveira fan club. There's always a guy. I've been in these MMA circles now. I'm watching these different YouTubers, and there's always a guy that's on there who's like the head of the Charles Oliveira fan club. And I'm going to take up that mantle on Miller DC's channel,
All right.
Best Fight Commentary channel on YouTube, and I'm going to take up the mantle of number one Charles Oliveira fan on the channel. That's going to be me. I'll take that mantle.
I'm not even joking. I might dye my hair blonde.
You're going to dye your hair blonde. So Miller, you're going to be the number one then.
Should we do it? It'll be funny. I'm
Dye your
considering.
hair
it.
blonde. I don't know I guess if your wife is cool with that. I don't think my wife would like that.
They have a spray. They have a spray that you could put on. That I've done it before for when Puerto Rico was playing in the World Baseball Classic.
Oh, I remember that.
And I dyed and I sprayed it blonde. So I might do that. We might have to. We'll see.
Yeah.
We might have to. But Oliveira's gonna get the job done, Joe. I mean, I'm sorry. I know
I think so too. Yeah, I don't want to, Miller. I'm not gonna. Can we just talk about something else? I don't want to. You're making me excited. I sometimes I can't contain myself when I'm talking about Charles. It's like something comes over me, and let's just move on to something else, please.
Whatever came over you might I might be experiencing.
It's
the same thing
contagious.
for Ola.
Miller,
It's
he's
a little.
contagious. It's his smile. It's the way Miller. Come on. I mean, yeah. All right. Let me
Listen,
just calm down.
imagine. Let me just paint a picture for you. Like, you can't write a better story. Everything that they were saying about Oliveira. Imagine he walks in there. And if you saw the Dariush fight where he beat Dariush and then he started pointing to himself and the confidence, the aura that the man has. Imagine he puts out Armin and does the same thing. And then he does the champion has a name speech. Like, how do you not You know what I
Miller,
mean? How do you
stop.
not?
Just
You know,
stop
you know
talking
what?
about it.
You know what I'm saying? Like the champion has a
Rewind.
name. What's the other line that he has, Joe? I can't remember. The champion has a name, and
No, I'm salivating right now. Just like that. You just the way you're
the,
talking is
there's another one that he has. What's the line? What's the line?
the
Champ.
champion has a name, Dubronx. That's his line. That's
No,
his
but
number one line.
there's something else that he says, and I can't remember, bro. But bro, just imagine Oliveira wins, man. Imagine
Look, I don't
Oliveira
want
wins.
to. It's not gonna be. It's not an imagining. He's gonna win. He's gonna beat
Um,
Armin.
Oh, and not only that, imagine being right about that when everyone else, most people have Armin winning. Armin is a minus 205 favorite.
Oh, he's minus 205 right now.
He's a minus 205 on the UFC
Miller, he's
website
coming
right now.
down. He's coming. He's coming down because last week he was a. I saw that he was a minus 230.
Really?
Yeah, he was a minus 230. At least
Re-
on my bookie? It was a DraftKings. It was one of those. He was a
Hmm.
minus 235 on
Really?
DraftKings. So yeah, so that means he's coming down.
Let me move my, hold on a second. Joe, we might have to do something live on stream real quick. Let's see what we got. Hold on a second. Live on stream. Let's go to the UFC. Let's see what they got Oliveira winning. Hold on a second. Oliveira is a plus 170. No, Armin Sarukian is a minus 240. Oliveira is a
Yeah,
plus
look at that.
170. Jesus, bro. Also, it did go
I know,
down.
and he's going up.
Let's see what they got as far as wagers. Oliveira by knockout is a plus 725.
Miller, what do they know? See, that's when I start questioning myself, and I'm like, what do these people know?
If you put $22 on that, you make 159
On Charles
by knockout,
by knockout. And what's Charles by sub? Like plus 300?
plus 375.
375. Wow. That's wild.
I think he's gonna win by knockout, bro.
Listen, he's going to get a
do I
finish.
pull the trigger?
I don't know. I don't know if you should pull the trigger. Listen, I try not to gamble anymore after what happened to me versus Curtis Blades. I don't want to talk about it,
that was tough.
but I'm not gambling anymore, even though I only lost like $5. But I'm not gambling anymore. I'm done. Miller, the eclipse is about to happen. I'm not even joking. This is biblical what's going on right now. So all serious, the MMA talks aside, hey, I'm getting my life right with God and taking care of my family, and I'm done gambling, Miller. I'm done with it. Okay.
Hollywood Hito with the $2. Thank you. He says, read the chat. He says, hey, yo, pause, Joe. Bro said he's saving his explosion for tonight. Y'all need to chill. Hey, yo, pause. Hey, yo, he can't control himself over Charles. This is
You know what?
I know
You
that.
know what? Only a pervert would think that. You know,
Mm.
that's just
Good point.
Hito is just he's just outing himself as an
Good
Epstein Island client.
Bro, let's quickly make a quick bet real quick, man. I'm sorry. Let me quickly thank you for the two Hito. Torrin Brown says the keys to beating Holloway is to punch with him and don't let him get off his combos. Alex and Dustin showed that. I think Gaethje's gonna be able to do that, man, as well too. Let's do a quick parlay here, a quick fun one. Maybe the first. I think Aljamain is a good pick. Aljamain, Diego Lopez. Let's do. And Charles is a plus 626. That's not bad. Let's do a little 10 bones on that. Bro, I'm excited. Let's do 10 bones on that. Feel pretty strongly about that one. All right, here's the other one. One more. Let's go Gaethje, Zhang, Hill. Do we add another one?
Miller, stop putting Hill in your parlays.
And Oliveira. That's the one. That's the one. That's
Miller,
the
the
one.
Hill one is gonna screw you. It's always that last one.
That's the one. That's the
It's
one.
always the last one that
That's
screws
the
you.
one.
You didn't know
Yeah.
that?
That's the one. That's the one, man. That's the one. No,
Oh
you know how many
my
big
God.
parlays we hit on this card on with the UFC, and then let's do maybe one little parlay. Let's do Jim Miller, Andrade, Figgy. I like that. and Turner.
I'm excited for this card,
Let's do
man.
that.
This
Let's
card is
do another 10 bones right there. That's good. We're gonna make some money this weekend. Bro, I'm excited. Joe, hear me out, Joe. You
listening.
remember when I laughed when you said what's the best fight on this card, and then you said
Yeah.
and then you said it was Oliveira versus
Yeah,
Saryuki.
no doubt. No question. Yeah.
You might have been right. You heard it here first.
Miller. Come on, Miller. I do this, Miller.
I know you.
I do this. Like, stop it. You have to stop trying me.
You might have been right.
You have to stop trying me on this channel. It's getting on my nerves. I haven't told you this personally yet, but I guess I'll just say it now. I've had a little bit of a beef with you for trying me so hard on your channel.
Let me just say, last thing with the Oliveira Saryuki. Now, listen, this is
Miller,
official.
can we stop talking about
listen,
this? Oh my God.
I don't mean to excite you too much. This is how I see it playing out.
Oliveira's
Oliveira's gonna walk in there. He's gonna look massive next to Arman. He's gonna look like the bully. When people thought that, he was over the hill, he's gonna be the one landing the jab, the one walking forward where everyone's saying, "Oh my God, is he actually doing this to Arman?" Landing the jab, landing some kicks to the body, grabbing him in the clinch, landing some elbows, knockout. Second round knockout for Oliveira. That's it.
Second round knockout.
Then he points to his chest. Then he points to his chest. Right? He does
the belt sign.
He does the yes.
He does the belt.
He does the absolutely.
He does the Aaron Rodgers. It's almost like that belt. He does the championship belt. Put that belt back on me. My God.
And he's done it before. And then he hits you with the speech. The champion has a name. His name is Oliveira. Mic drop. We get him next against Islam for the rematch, and he potentially wins that one. But anyways, sorry, just man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Anyway, Miller, I want to say this too. He just had an interview with one of his Brazilian guys, and he was saying that, and this is what I love about Charles. He's so honest. He said, "Yo, if you had a chance to fight Conor McGregor, or you had a chance to fight Islam for the belt again, what are you picking?" And he just flat out quickly said, "Yo, I'm fighting Conor McGregor at 185. We don't even have to cut weight." And he said he would fight Conor McGregor at 185 before fighting Islam if given the opportunity. Isn't that crazy?
That is a little wild.
That's kind of wild. But that's what he said. He just said on his YouTube channel.
And if
that's crazy.
If he beats Arman, I mean, people are going to be talking about him like crazy. Great opportunity for him to fight McGregor as well too. I've seen him mention McGregor a few times as of recent. So
McGregor won't do that. McGregor's not going to do that. There's no reason for him to do that.
I don't know, man. That's a big fight. It's a big fight.
Yeah, it's a big fight if it happens. I mean, there's several big fights. McGregor's never going to fight Gaethje. He's never going to fight. Man, I don't think he's going to fight Chandler. To be honest with you, he's not going to fight Chandler. So.
I think McGregor fights before John Jones. My hot take. My hot take.
I can see him fighting Nate Diaz again, maybe in like a couple years, like for a comeback fight or something. But I don't see him fighting again. But man, I woke up this morning so pumped for this UFC, just knowing that in 6 days we're gonna get one of the greatest UFC cards ever put together, ever. Man, I just woke up in such a great mood. That's just, I'm so hyped for this weekend. I'm so hyped for fighting. I'm just my adrenaline. Like, I'm just pumped. Today just went by so quick. I can already tell it's gonna be a great week.
Joe,
man,
I hate to do it, but just imagine how much better you're gonna feel when you were doubted about Oliveira and all the clips being made. And
my God!
Just imagine the high that you're gonna be on when that happens.
You know what I'm going to do? This is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to say a word about it. I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to look myself in the mirror, and I'm going to be content knowing that I know who I am. Okay? That's what I'm doing. When it happens, I'm not going to say nothing to anybody. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm going to take my shirt off. I'm going to dry the sweat underneath my armpits and over my forehead after crying, watching Charles win. And I'm going to say to myself, yeah, Yeah.
Have a Miller Lite. Have it ready.
No, Miller.
Have it ready.
I'm not drinking. I
Oh,
took a pound.
you're a Bud Light kind of guy. Anyways,
Miller, don't say that. Don't do that to me.
you're a Bud Light kind of guy. Makes sense now. All right, I need to get out of here. Listen, guys, Joe, everybody else watching as well too. Thank you for all the people. I know everybody was preoccupied with the eclipse, so it's cool to come in here and talk some fighting. In the chat right now, I put the video link to my official UFC 300 prediction video. It goes from literally the early prelim. Oh, I did all the fights. It's almost like a 20-minute video. That's a new video out right now. It's premiering right now. Go check it out, guys. Joe, thank you for coming through. Oliveira's going to win. I can't wait to talk about this with you and Trey later tonight, man.
Yes, sir, Miller. Take it
All
easy,
right.
baby.
We'll talk soon, man. Later. All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Joe De Jesus. I'm out of here. Go check out the video. I spammed it in the chat. That's my official card prediction. We'll be back at 7 p.m.